Germans no longer get sick leave. If you are sick in Germany, you will be expected to bring a doctor's note before the employers are required to offer you a sick day, which means that if you wake up sick, you have to somehow get a doctor's note before your first day at work. Like, you wake up sick, you have an hour before your shift starts, you have to go to the doctor. You have to do it immediately, which means that millions of sick people will be forced into hospital and doctor's office waiting rooms while they're at their most sick, thereby increasing in total human inefficiency and sickness. A major labor right they've been proud of for decades. All water goes downhill. All water eventually flows downhill, or it evaporates. But you know what happens after it evaporates? It falls as rain. And then, as rain, it falls downhill. Aren't the SPD supposed to be in power? It doesn't matter. This is an objectively irrational decision. Like, this doesn't help anyone. Literally, like, this does not increase efficiency. It doesn't improve anything. It's worse in every way. It's empirically worse. But you know what it is? It's a vice signal to German capital. What it is a signal from the government. Hey, capitalists, business owners, we don't respect the rights of your workers either. We're on your side. It's purely a vice signal. Dude, this segment actually took like 5 years off my life. I felt like my heart weakened. You gotta do some jumping jacks or something. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And again, this is what I mean about like the incentive structure for capital being greater than the sum of all human rationality. This is something that works for no one. No corporation is made wealthier because of this. Like, the companies aren't making more money. The government isn't raising more in taxes. Nobody benefits from this. But it is a social signal to capital that the German government is aligned with them. And that subservience to the irrationality of capital accumulation is of greater priority to Chancellor Merz than any actual outcome. Economists have largely welcomed the proposals, noting the government is finally... I would love to meet these economists, the high priests of capital. Noting that the government is finally delivering concrete changes after months of internal disagreements between Merz's conservatives and their junior coalition partners, the left-leaning Social Democrats. The reforms are designed to ease the burden on businesses by cutting red tape, cutting red tape by forcing workers to get a doctor's note on day one? I don't think that the German healthcare system can even handle this burden. The idea that every single time an employed person is sick, they have to go to a doctor. Like, this is an increase of millions of doctor's visits every year if you want to get paid for sick leave. If you want to access your legally guaranteed right to paid sick leave, you will now have to burden the medical system with, in aggregate, millions, probably tens of millions per year of additional doctor's visits. Wouldn't sick people going to work just burden their coworkers? Again, it's not about the efficiency. Everyone knows, all of them, Merz, the economists, they all know this is irrational. It doesn't matter. The incentive is stronger than the aggregate of all human rationality. You're arguing against the spin of the atom. You're yelling at the rain as it trickles downhill after landing. Like, it does not matter how angry you get about it. If their motivation's being in power, wouldn't it be more sense to do good for people and enjoy being in power? Yeah, that's how power works. I'm sorry, but this is a conceit that dies on observation of reality. In reality, no. In fact, the stewards of capital will often do things that make their own lives worse. Look at how many Democrats have decided to fall on the sword and defend Israel, even as the evidence has grown that it's become an untenable position within the party. Their allegiance to capital, and that's exactly what it is so great that it overwhelms even their self-preservation. Even their own desire to stay in power within their own lives. They won't even lie for it. Or I guess they'll only lie in one direction. This is on top of the EU reducing environmental liability on corporation supply chain. Yes. Very good. Very good. Germany also bans the socialization of rental housing. I don't want to get too broad about this because I want to focus on this specifically because this is such a obviously bad idea. And it serves nobody. Nobody benefits from this on any level, which is why it's so fascinating. Maris is not making himself more popular in doing this. People are going to be unhappy about this. The healthcare system will go further overtaxed, and corporations will lose money due to the lost productivity of their workers. And yet, capital wants this. Capital wants this very, very badly. Is this narrated?
But critics are calling the move anti-worker. Here's what is...
Let's see CNN.
Calling out sick in Germany could soon need receipts. Germany's new government is rolling out a major reform package to revive its struggling economy, and one of the most eyebrow-raising parts is sick leave. According to the German Economic Institute, German workers take an average of 14.8 sick days per year, giving the country one of the highest rates of absenteeism in Europe. For context, that is 4 times the UK's sick leave rate. Chancellor Friedrich Merz's coalition wants tougher sick note rules requiring doctor's notes from day 1 of sick leave and removing the ability to obtain a sick note over the phone, saying Germany needs to boost productivity.
See, this is precisely what I mean. You need to physically go into the doctor's office. What possible reason could there be for making you not able to do it over the phone? You're adding in the you're adding in inefficiency for literally no reason. The idea that this is to boost productivity is ridiculous.
And stay competitive. The broader plan also includes tax relief for lower income earners, more affordable housing, and a crackdown on benefit fraud.
They're talking about this like this is a problem and not something that Germany has been proud of for decades. You want to see something like really, really, really grim? Hold on. When I looked up Germany sick leave, one of the top results was a little bit comedy YouTuber referencing how proud Germans are of their sick days. Look at this.
I think
this was posted 2 days ago.
I'm getting sick.
German learns about paid sick days in the US.
I might have to stay home tomorrow. Okay, just keep in mind that you've almost used up all of your sick days though. Excuse me? Well, when you run out of sick days, you're gonna have to take vacation days instead. But I'm not going on vacation. The thing is, you won't be at work either, so it's kind of like a vacation. But I will just be sick at home. Well, good news, it looks like you still have 1.5 vacation days left that you can use. For the rest of the year, of course.
It's a bit that's rooted in, obviously, the pride that Germans have over their system, right? I mean, why else would you make a bit like this? That's the whole point. I assume that it was posted 2 days ago in reference to, yes, a German girl in the US. Yes, posted. This is an older video. I believe I've actually seen it before, so she's reposting it because of the news, right? To take advantage of the SEO trending topics.
Germany's ruling coalition has agreed on sweeping tax, labor, and pensions reforms, a breakthrough after 7 hours of talks aimed at getting the country's sluggish economy back on track. The package includes income tax cuts worth 10 billion euros to be financed by higher taxes on those earning more than 250,000 euros a year. Changes to the pension system will eventually see the retirement age rise past 67, and the right of employees to get a sick note by telephone will be scrapped with the aim of reducing worker absentee days. Since taking off...
Why does Capital want this so badly? I really do think that it comes back to the fact that power in capitalism can't be capped. As a monarch, you can never be more of a monarch. If you're the king, you're the king. There's no double king. But the upper cap of power in capitalism is theoretically infinite. You can always own more things. Your estimated net worth can always be higher. It's an application of its model of infinite growth to every level, including the incentives of the people on the top, you know? Like, people, we've seen this many times, no one ever stops wanting to make more money just because they have more money than God. Like, a billionaire has never hung up their hat and been like, well, I guess I'm done. They always go for more. Always. Every time. Does that make sense? Wealth and power are no longer have an upper bound. It's not about like the volume of gold you control or how big your house is or anything else. It's totally abstracted, which means that the cap is infinite, which means that from a social perspective, there's actually an unlimited number of ways that you can empower capital. You're not limited to some very narrow, like, how do you make a king more of a king? The king is the king. The king remains the king. That is the system. The highest point of power is the king. Nothing can be done to make the king more of the king. Maybe the king can become wealthier, sure, but a king who has 1 million ducats of gold versus 10 million, they remain the king. You can add on top of it, but that's it. Still, fundamentally, the king can rule over a larger jurisdiction. This is true, and many kings did fight to make their empires larger, though there were bounds on this, usually, oftentimes due to tradition or the logistical difficulty in conquering large territories. However, none of these represented the same kind of existential threat to the world, because this kind of upper scaling of a king's power is bounded by a couple of finite metrics, right? The earth is finite. The most a king can rule over is the earth. No one's ever done it, but theoretically that's your limit, right? There are physical limits to what you can do. There's only so much gold you can acquire. Even if you were to acquire all of the gold in the world, that is still all the gold. It's a finite amount. But with capital, there is no limit whatsoever. A person can, absolutely, even easily, be singly worth more than all of the money on earth. If the total money supply on Earth is 100 trillion, and it's not, but let's say that it is possible for a person to be worth more than 100 trillion. There is absolutely no cap on that. You are not limited to the money supply with regards to your upper bounds of wealth or power. There are always more things to own. If you stop owning things on Earth, you can own things, you can own the stars. You might own everything on Earth. What about a person who owns the solar system? What about a person who legally, according to the Earth's governments, the US, the UN, whatever else, owns the moon? What about a person who owns every resource that one could ever mine from the rings around Saturn? You can always own more. This is, of course, irrational. If you were to describe this kind of power accumulation to a person 500 years ago, they would think you were mentally ill. In the same way that a monkey who collects 1 trillion bananas but only eats one a day would be seen as like a defective monkey to us. If you went back and you were like, oh, I'm the most powerful person on earth, but you can still own more than that, this makes no sense at all. This doesn't fit with previous assumptions of what power meant, because power was traditionally power over land, resources, and people. Now power is abstracted into a set of monetary and numerical, abstract, speculative forms that can theoretically be infinite in size and scope. It is cancerous. What I'm describing is a cancer. It would be like trying to describe the peak of human athleticism to a cancer cell. What is the peak of human athleticism made of at a cellular level? Well, it's a bunch of different cells working in tandem to maximize the efficiency of your muscles and bones. There is a very high upper bound. The difference between an unathletic person and, say, Michael Phelps or Usain Bolt is very, very, very large, right? But there is an upper bound. You might be able to tease out a little bit more performance at the highest bound, but what it means to be the greatest sprinter or the greatest powerlifter, there are upper bounds. Eventually you are at the top, undisputably, empirically, quantifiably. But if you were to explain all of this to a cancer cell and it responded with, you could always be bigger, what would you even say in response to that? A muscle cell explains, my job is to most efficiently process this energy to make the muscle contract or expand as quickly and as sturdily as possible. And the cancer cell is like, you could make more of yourself. You could become larger. You could always be larger. There's no limit to how large you could be. You understand? It would make you're having two separate conversations. Of course, the difference being that the muscle cell contributes to a healthy body and the cancer cell will kill you, which is kind of what I'm getting at here. This also explains their obsession with transhumanism. Yes, powerful people have always wanted to live forever, but there is you get me, you understand.